The Singapore Grand Prix took place for the 10th time in September. Even though there were still some questions about its future, a new 4-year contract was just signed that will keep it on the F1 calendar at least until 2021. This year, we went to see what all the fuss was about. But before we start our countdown of top 15 reasons why Singapore Grand Prix rocks, please subscribe to our YouTube channel and press the bell icon as well. 15. It looks amazing. We've seen some amazing things in Formula One recently, like a Ferrari driver standing on the podium at Monza. However, the Marina Bay Street Circuit in Singapore is one of the most amazing places to watch a race. As F1's only night race, it really comes to life when the sun goes down. It's a real downtown street track that looks great during the day. Floodlighting makes sure that the drivers don't have trouble seeing, but it also makes the track look amazing from a distance, with its bright outline of the course. There is a permanent part of the track, but most of it goes through the city streets, with skyscrapers, the Marina Bay Sands, and the Singapore Flyer observation wheel as a backdrop. 14. It's a tough physical challenge for the drivers. Even though the track is great for fans, the drivers will be nervous when they get to Singapore because they know they are in for a tough weekend. With 23 turns and a track length of more than 5 kilometers, it's already a busy lap for the drivers, but when the humidity is high, they have to work even harder behind the wheel. On top of that, the average speed is lower on a street circuit, even though there are a few long straights. Because of this race is often the longest of the season in terms of time. It's not easy to race at full speed for 2 hours in 30-degree heat and high humidity, so drivers will train especially for this event. If you can handle the Singapore Grand Prix, you can handle any other race on the schedule. 13. The schedule is unique. Even though the Grand Prix started at 20:30 local time and went on until after 2200, the drivers had to deal with very tough conditions. Even though it might seem strange to race at that time, it's actually 14:10 CET, so everyone in the F1 paddock stays on European time. That means going to bed around 5 a.m. and getting up in the early afternoon. For a full night's sleep, blackout curtains are a must. At the track, breakfast is served around 3 or 4 p.m., lunch is around 8 p.m., and you're already thinking about dinner in the early morning. The schedule does mean that FP1 and FP3 happen before sunset. This means that the teams can't get as much useful information from practice, which often leads to races that are exciting and unpredictable. 12. It's a street circuit where you can overtake. Even though street circuits look amazing, one thing that is sometimes said about them is that it can be hard to pass on them. Street circuits are usually tight and windy, with only a few short straights, but the Singapore layout does give drivers a chance to pass. The best chance comes at turn 7, where drivers have been going full speed for a long time and only have to worry about the right-hand turn at turn 6. Bumps also make it hard to know where to stop, especially going into turn 7. This can cause drivers to make mistakes by going too far across the exit curbing, which can lead to a crash. 11. There's a festival vibe. The Singapore Grand Prix is in the middle of the city, so there are a lot of great things to do there besides the race. At Padang, on the inside of turn 9, where the track goes around this part of the city, there is a big fan area with a music stage. Swedish House Mafia, Muse, Red Hot Chili Peppers, Gwen Stefani, Fatboy Slim, Hans Zimmer, Toots and the Maytals, J.S. Ondara, Lighthouse Family, Larkin Poe Texas, the Ramona Flowers, and Wolfgang Flür are all playing this year, which is on par with some of the biggest music festivals in the world. 10. It's the only race in Southeast Asia. This year, the Malaysian GP was held 2 weeks after the Singapore GP. It was the 19th and last race at the Sepang circuit. Even though the Malaysian event was never very successful, putting it back-to-back with the Singapore event from last year may have sped up its end. Some people have talked about starting new races in Vietnam or Thailand, but for now, Singapore is the only race in Southeast Asia, which has about 6.5 million people. 9. It's got rooms with a view. A lot of the best 5-star hotels in Singapore are close to the track. Most F1 teams and staff stay at the Pan Pacific or Ritz-Carlton, which are only a 5-minute walk from the paddock. The Fullerton Hotel is another option. It is in a historic building that looks out over Boat Quay and Marina Bay Sands. Its 3 towers and the infinity pool on the highest level all look out over the circuit. Just make sure to get a room that faces the train track. If you can't afford a room with a view of the track, you should still stay in the middle of the city. 8. The possibilities for extended holidays are endless. Singapore is one of the 5 most visited cities in the world, with more than 13 million overnight visitors every year. Singapore is a place to go on its own because it has a lot of great places to visit. Changi Airport is also one of the world's biggest airport hubs. Each year, 58 million people go through Changi Airport. You are close to a lot of amazing places, from the beaches of Thailand to the temples of Myanmar and much more. Plan a vacation around the race instead of just going to it. 7. The nightlife is outstanding. When there are races, Singapore really comes to life at night. There are a lot of bars, clubs, and rooftop hangouts where you can party until the wee hours of the morning. At the higher end, the Amber Lounge has an F1 fashion show on Saturday night and a party with F1 drivers and celebrities after the race on Sunday. In a similar way, the Podium Lounge has F1-themed parties all weekend in the Grand Ballroom of the Ritz-Carlton. For the best rooftop views, go to the circuit parties at One Altitude on top of the One Raffles Place skyscraper or KLA Vi on top of Marina Bay Sands. It's best to book ahead. If you want to party in a more low-key way, go to Boat Quay or Clark Quay, where there are a lot of bars and drinks cost less. 6. The food is delicious. Don't bother with overpriced hot dogs and soggy fries. The Marina Bay Circuit and the area around it offer a wide range of foods from different cultures, such as Chinese, Malay, Thai, Indonesian, and Indian dishes. The food vendors inside the circuit are a bit pricey, but you are never far from one of the city's famous hawker centers, where you can get cheap local favorites like hot pot, Hainanese chicken rice, or Hokkien mee. At the higher end, there are a lot of restaurants with Michelin star quality food and great views of the city. Many of these restaurants are in 5-star hotels. 5. The organization is world-class. Not as many people look at our Singapore GP guide as they do at some of our other guides. Why? Because the organizers are so good at giving fans useful information. The organizers of the Singapore GP do everything they can to make sure fans have the best time possible. They have survival guides, a detailed website, and a useful app, and there are thousands of young crew members all over the circuit grounds. 4. It's easy to get to the track. As you might expect, Singapore has a great system for getting around. So, even if you can't afford a hotel near the track or in the city center, you'll only be a short MRT, subway, or bus ride from the circuit and all the other things to do in the city center. You can ride public transportation as much as you want with a cheap Singapore tourist pass, and MRT service is extended on Grand Prix weekend. 3. Singapore puts on the best F1 concerts. Singapore was the first F1 race to book big-name stars for concerts during the race weekend. This year's lineup included Calvin Harris, Ariana Grande, Duran, One Republic, Seal, and the Chainsmokers, among many others who played on different stages around the Marina Bay Circuit. The biggest shows are held on the Padang stage, which can hold up to 65,000 people. Since it began in 2008, Kylie Minogue, The Killers, Robbie Williams, J.Lo, Rihanna, Justin Bieber, Katy Perry, Mariah Carey, Linkin Park, and Pharrell Williams have all performed as headliners. Since the Singapore GP concerts were so popular, other races, like those in Abu Dhabi, the United States, and Azerbaijan, have booked A-list stars for their own race weekend concerts. 2. It's the original night race. The Singapore GP is not the only street race on the current F1 schedule, nor is it the only race held at night, but it is the only street race held at night. It was also the first F1 race to be held at night, 7 years before Bahrain. At night, the Singapore skyline is also a pretty spectacular background. 1. It has the best trackside atmosphere. There's a reason why between 30,000 and 50,000 international F1 fans go to the Singapore GP every year. It's hard to beat the atmosphere of a nighttime race in the middle of one of the most exciting cities in the world. On race weekend, you can feel the fans' excitement everywhere in the center of Singapore. This is unusual, since most races are now held at purpose-built facilities outside of the city. So, that's it for today. If you like the video, leave a comment and subscribe to our channel. Press the bell icon for latest updates. Thanks for watching.